Let it be known, Pro Basketball Hall of Famer, NBA champion, CEO of Isiah International is here at the Nasdaq. That's it. On the other side, talking business with Isiah Thomas. Hello, everyone. This is Jabari Young, senior writer at Forbes, and I'm at the Nasdaq MasketSite. And I just told you who we're ready to talk to. Let it be known, Isiah Thomas is here. Man, Pro Basketball Hall of Famer, two-time NBA champion, 12-time NBA All-Star, Detroit Pistons legend, CEO of Isiah International, Forbes BLK advisor, right? Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything?
Yeah. No, that's good enough.
Millionaire.
No.
Cool.
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian.
Giving to the people.
Absolutely, man.
Yes.
Zeke, it is a pleasure to have you at the Nasdaq, man. I mean, we've always talked. We always have the conversations. It was a year ago. We was in Atlanta at the first annual BLK Summit, and I love that moment. Get to that in a minute. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming, man. Listen, we're here at the stock market. You got to give me a stock. What has worked well for Isiah Thomas all these years that maybe you still have in your portfolio, or once you let it go, it served you well?
I would say for me, communications and technology stocks have been, they've worked well for me.
Yeah.
And, whether it be Apple, AT&T, the things you need, the bread and butter.
Absolutely.
That, and the food that comes to the table, that's what I invest in.
Yeah.
The things that you use every single day, those are the things that I invest in.
Yeah. Procter & Gamble, I tell people, like, that's a great stock. I mean, it's in your house. Everywhere you look, Procter & Gamble is in your house.
That's what my econ teacher told me. My econ teacher told me in high school, go into your pantry and look and see what products that you're using at home, and that's what you invest in.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, we ain't got no food in my pantry, So I went over to my friend's house, and I saw, and we were doing like a little high school experiment. And, you just, really, the things that you use every single day, those are the things you should invest in.
Absolutely, man. I'm a big Southwest flyer, and I just bought some Southwest stock. I had to, as I use it. As a CEO, what is the first order of business that you do after a U.S. presidential election, right? I mean, because you're international CEO, companies all over the world. Like, what do you do after you know who the candidate is? You know it's going to be a whole new administration. What's the first action of business?
What are the rules of the game? What rules are we going to be playing by with this administration as opposed to the last administration?
Yeah.
And particularly being a minority owner, right? And with DEI being discussed so much, if that goes away, then how a company is going to operate? What is going to be their public discourse? Will they continue to hire and practice things that they've done in the past? Or will they move to a totally different space and sector?
Yeah.
So those are the things that I look at, like what are the rules of the game, how we're playing, and who are the officials?
That's the big rule, right? Who are the officials? We're going to get another Steve Jab here. Who are the officials?
And you got to understand the rules. If you don't understand the rules, then you can't play.
Yeah.
And so once this administration lays out its rules, January 20th, right, then you start understanding how you as a company have to operate and what are the opportunities, what are the things that you can do, and what are the things you can't do.
Yeah. I'll get into more, the new administration. If they called you for advice, think about that. What would you tell them? We'll get into that in a minute, man. Listen, 1 year ago, man, in November, you came to Atlanta. You was at the Forbes BLK Summit, man. Thank you again for that opportunity. You turned so many heads down there and opened so many eyes to your champagne, right? It's a great moment. What do you remember about that, man? That was the inaugural Forbes BLK Summit, man, and you were the first.
I remember the conversations before we got on stage.
Yeah.
That we were having in the back room, that everyone had a chance to really kind of get to know each other, communicate, share ideas, and just really embrace each other and give each other love, support. It was a beautiful moment because I remember during that period of time when you were launching, you were a little nervous, but you had so much support and love around you that you couldn't fail. And that's what makes a team works. That's what makes business work. When people come around you, they hold you up, and even in those nervous moments, when you're a little unsure, they're like, no, you can do it, you can do it. we got you. And I think that's what that room was all about, and here we are today.
Yeah, man, and 3 years going in next year. I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you for that, man.
Oh, thank you.
You almost had me going tears there, but I'm gonna hold it back.
Oh, no. That was all right.
You know, listen, when you talk about team, and before we start and switch fully into the business side, the NBA is in session. You know, I don't think I have gone a year in my career covering the NBA without talking to you and getting some type of advice. Whether I was in San Antonio covering the Spurs, calling you up, hey, what do the Spurs need to do better? What are they doing here? Or seeing you when you came down there working for NBA TV. But again, we're, you know, almost 20 games in. One of the big rules I learned from Greg Popovich's staff is every 20 games is when you evaluate who you are, right?
Yes.
You can't do it after one game, after two. Every 20 games. Here we are approaching the 20-game mark, right, of the NBA season. What's been the biggest, or who has been the biggest surprise?
Well, you have to say Golden State.
Yeah.
I mean, what Steph Curry and Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, what they've been able to rebuild, get back, and hold on to has been really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, as we sit here today, they're the #1 seed in the West right now.
Yeah.
And so you have to be impressed with them. The disappointment has been the injuries, right? There's been so many injuries that have happened right now that makes it difficult. But as the season continues to progress, things will get better.
Yeah.
But Golden State, to me, and Steph Curry, that group there.
Yeah, because we thought they were going to regress. We thought they were done. The dynasty was over, and here they are. Still a long season to go, but
still a long season.
But
the way they're playing,
yeah,
right? They're playing good basketball. They're moving. They're shooting. They're scoring. Minutes are down. You know, they're playing old school Bob Knight, Lute Olson basketball, which is great to see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you look at even the Phoenix Suns, I mean, you're advising down there. I've been impressed with them because this is another team that people weren't giving a shot. But they got some continuity, right? They got a little bit of chemistry. Still bench. But is that a reason why you see maybe the Phoenix Suns or even Golden State Warriors a big continuity?
Yeah, and then they got the guns, right? Anytime you got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal on your team, you got a chance to win, right? And now they got good coaching. When you look at Phoenix right now, you got good coaching, you got good chemistry, but they're hurt now. So they got off to a really good start, but Durant being down, Beal being down, Booker got 44 last night, still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But when those guys are back and they got the coaching staff, I really like what I see there.
Yeah, on the East, I gotta ask. I'm from Philly. When you look at my Sixers, what do you see? I see a team that they don't have anything there. I just don't know, Zeke. What am I looking at with this Philadelphia squad? They're not respecting the game, is what I see.
They have talent. They got a lot of players.
Yeah.
They got a great city. They got a great fan base. But can they come together chemistry-wise, right? Because with the injuries that they have, you know, can you develop chemistry?
Yeah.
You know, with George, Embiid, Maxey, they're already in and out. And will these three have enough time to play together? Just as we were asking with the Clippers. With Leonard, you know, Harden and George, all of them being injured, they never developed chemistry, never had time to play together. Is this what we're getting ready to watch in Philly?
I think so. I mean, I don't remember a championship team like that. Even you look at the Miami Heat that came together that first year that just turned it on and win. Like, you need repetition, time.
Yes.
They haven't played no preseason basketball, and so how do you expect to just turn it on like that? And they're already in a hole, right? I mean, you know, that's why I say I don't know if they're respecting the game or the season or the process.
Well, I think they have respect for the game. I just don't know if they understand what the game requires for you to be a champion.
Right.
You can make the playoffs, but can you be a champion? And the game demands and requires a certain level of commitment, understanding, intelligence to be a champion. And I think they have respect for the game. I just don't think they understand what's required of them to be a champion.
Yeah. Well, speaking of future champions, you think Anthony Edwards will ever get one? Bad boy, man.
He's a bad boy, but, you know, it takes more than talent to win. You know, there's a certain amount of chemistry and intellect that goes into winning. You know, very few people win. Very few people have championships, right? So, you can have all the talent, you can jump real high and shoot and do all the things skill-wise, but mentally, can you master this game?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it takes to be a champion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you still talk to young guys about business and about establishing their portfolio and establishing their business circles while they're at the highest level of attention with the NBA as the platform?
Yes, I do.
What do you tell them?
The access that you have now to intellect and to CEOs while you're playing, every city that you go to, you should make it a point to reach out to the top 2-3 CEOs in that city, invite them to the game, have lunch with them, and see if they give you some advice. That's what I did, for years in the NBA. So when I got out of the NBA, I had a advisory board, so to speak. And while you're playing, your celebrity it gives you access. Your celebrity creates deal flow, and you can use your celebrity for deal flow. So that means you get a chance to look at some of the best deals that come in, but you have to have a pretty sharp group behind you that can let you know, this is one we can look at, this is one we can't look at. And so I still help a lot of young guys right now.
Do they listen?
Some do, some don't, because most of them, they have advisors also. And sometimes you conflict with what their advisors are giving them.
Yeah, but their advisors aren't you. You're a proven track record, right?
Yeah, but some of them don't see my record in the business community as well as they do on the floor.
Yeah.
Like in this champagne space, we've been in this space now 10 years and just starting to blow up, right? So this is the overnight success, but it's been 10 years and, getting ready to, I gotta find some wood. Getting ready to close a deal here on the champagne space that will really take us to the next level. But it's been 10 years of building and grinding in it. So there's no overnight success, but you gotta dot your I's, cross your T's, and you gotta stay alive.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into Isiah International, right? Because you just mentioned you have the champagne company as a part of it, the real estate and construction. Isiah Ticketing is a part of it, One World Production products. We'll get into some news about that in a minute. But I'm curious about the real estate and construction front, right? Because we are what one can consider in a housing crisis, right?
Yeah.
People aren't building. We got a whole bunch of people on the sidelines. Interest rates a little bit still high. So, but I would imagine 2025, things may pick up, right? What are you seeing, or what are you guys looking at on the real estate construction front? And it made me feel good about 2025, man, because again, the housing market is just not recovered the way that people thought it would.
Well, multifamily and affordable housing will be focused on heavily. Now, it all depends on the interest rates. Will you have access to capital the way you did maybe 8-9 years ago? That's going to be the driver. But I do think that home ownership is still the best way to build wealth and to build equity.
Yeah.
In the affordable housing space, we operate in the multifamily and affordable housing space. And, there's not enough housing in the United States right now.
Yeah.
So that factor, along with construction, will continue to grow, and that will be an emphasis, I'm hoping, of the new administration coming in.
Well, you're in that construction space. I mean, are you guys planning on, building? Are you guys looking at 2025? I mean, I know interest and the capital has to be there, but are you guys planning on doing any construction to get there? Everybody is, to me, I look at where the construction workers are. They're on the road. They're building. It's the infrastructure build. That's where they are, right? That's where all the money is. So what needs to happen for us to start to see building again?
So for myself, what I've looked at with One World Products is introducing a new raw material into the space. As opposed to using concrete, we'll start using hemp and what some people call hempcrete. Now, hemp takes carbon out of the air. It's just as strong in some places as concrete, or you can use them both together to create a new raw material that can be used not only to help the environment, but also strengthen the buildings also. So you have to find your niche and find a new way into a traditional market that you can play in. But if you're coming in trying to play like the established players who've been doing it one way for 100 years, and you want to compete the same way that they've been competing, of course they have an edge. So what I've tried to do is introduce, a new raw material. What's old is new when you talk about hemp. And hemp I see as a replacement not only for plastics, but I think it'll be used in every aspect of our daily lives.
Well, let's dive into that more, right? One World Products, you guys have the hemp-based molded containers, right? And you're in the supply chain with FlexGate, and you guys are making the boxes for FlexGate. Because FlexGate, this is an automotive supplier, right? So they make all the parts, the doors that you see, and they supply it. And you guys are making the packaging that they're going to ship these things in, right? You're in the supply chain, and you're moving hemp. One of the things I noticed in the release when you were announcing that you guys have the royalty payment, that you were moving away from the shift of going Colombian Cannabis operations and going more into the packaging. Why the shift? What do you see in the supply chain that you're looking at opportunities?
Well, we started out, looking at hemp and growing THC cannabis in Colombia. The politics and the government was slow to react, so we put a pause there. But while we were working there, we were already establishing what we were going to do in the automotive space through the partnership with Stellantis. And you'll see a picture of me ringing a bell with Stellantis here, I think it was 2-3 years ago, where we announced our partnership there. And now we finally got to the point now where we've introduced the raw material into the automotive space. And the first entry was to come in packaging. So you see our hemp containers now, and our partner Orbis. Orbis is one of the biggest packaging container companies in the auto space. West Michigan is our partner, and also FlexGate. FlexGate, they make the bumpers and everything that you do in automotive that's outside on the exterior of the automobile. FlexGate is our partner. So introducing the raw material of hemp into this space, now we have the opportunity not only to be in packaging, but the next phase is how do we get into the interior of the automobile and also in the exterior of the automobile.
Right.
So we're working on...
So making those parts using your solution with the hemp.
Yes.
Wow.
And now every time that a package is shipped in the automobile space, you're helping the environment, you're reducing the carbon footprint, and with the electric automobiles continuing to move forward, like GM has a big push in EV. So your industrial hemp and our hemp going in the automobile, helping with the dashboard to replace the plastics, looking up under the exterior of the car with the brackets. So we have a chance to not only, how can I say it, not only impact that market, but we also have a chance to be on every single car that goes out the door that's made nationally and internationally because of the product that we have.
So in 2050, right, you could be looking at a lot of cars driving around with the bumper that your product, your solution possibly made.
If not the bumper, I'll have a product
somewhere in that car.
Somewhere on that car.
Right. Whether it's the plastic that you see on the dashboard, whether it's the stuff, and people may not know it, right?
Yeah, by 2050, absolutely. And so the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Shakan, right? He owns FlexGate. And he started out putting a jack in every car.
A jack?
Just a jack. He was an employee there, and then he went from an employee to an owner just with one product. Now he puts several products in the cars.
Wow.
And that's where we are.
Yeah, right. And it's like that's the screw mentality. And the screw mentality for me is that you look around a room, and I tell people, what's the one thing holding everything together? It's the screw. Everybody wants to be the, and when you look at cars, and everybody wants to be the transmission or they want to be the engine because those are the two biggest things. And of course, they, if you're looking at it from a company standpoint, they make the most money. But screws are the thing that holds everything. Why can't you make a lot of money on the screws?
And if I can put one bracket
Right, in every car.
on every car, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my father used to tell me. He said, you say, Junior, I know you want all these fancy businesses. He said, but toilet paper is a good business.
Absolutely. So is toothpaste and
Yeah.
everything else. That's
Yeah,
a
you
very
gotta
good
use
business.
it every day.
Absolutely.
You gotta use it every day.
Anything else that you're looking at? I mean, listen, there's cybersecurity, AI startups. I was just down in Houston at Afrotech, and I know technology is a huge thing when it comes down to, you know, what the next generation of students, especially HBCU units, are looking for. Cybersecurity companies, Gen AI startups. What else are you looking at?
No, I'm focused right now on just two spaces. Champagne space and One World products. You can't focus on too many things.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's been 10 years getting Sherlon Champagne to where it's at now. And now the shift goes to, okay, One World products, how do we move this? Because I look at it and I say, I got two companies, both of them are billion-dollar opportunities. And Sherlon has already got to that place where, knock on this wood, when this partner come in, it takes it to the next, takes it to that billion-dollar opportunity where now you can start executing on it.
Yeah.
Well, with One World products, it's the same thing. Now the focus is here, and we have a billion-dollar opportunity here now. So now you got to manage it and grow it. And those who start at the bottom with us, we're on the ticker now on the OTC, and those who start at the bottom with us, right, as this company grows, next time I'm back here, I want to be, you know, ringing the bell for Nasdaq, you know, and you've uplifted my company from the OTC to the Nasdaq.
Speaking to existence.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I've gone from a penny stock to a $4 stock, and once you do that, you know,
Sky's the limit.
and that's my goal. It hasn't been done, you know, by a former player. So my goal is to be able to take that from the bottom, bring it to the top, and, you know, have Nasdaq, you know, uplift our company.
Absolutely, man. When you think about that, and again, you said it was a 10-year journey, right? You went from, let's go even further back because people may not know your story. You grew up in Chicago, right? Your parents, your mom worked at Our Lady of Sorrows, Youth Center and Church, 6 brothers, 2 sisters. You were homeless at times. You're talking about sleeping on the floor in your closet at times because there wasn't enough bed space, right? Watching your brother shoot needles and do drugs, right? And having to go through all of that. Are you still in awe of the fact that you overcame that environment? Because most people born into that, as you know, you don't get out.
I'm in awe of the second generation of my family that I was able to help.
Yeah.
Because I spent all my MBA money cleaning up my family, laying the foundation, so they'll have a chance to get out of poverty. So my nieces, my nephews, my kids, my cousins, I still have some that don't eat or are living in hard times. But for the most part, the thing that I'm most proud of is that most of my nieces, nephews, when they go to their refrigerator, there's some food in the refrigerator.
Right.
When they leave their job, they got a house to go to or an apartment to stay in. And most of them have either graduated from college or had 2-3 years of college. And to me, that's the success story, not what I've done, but what my family is able to do now, because literally we were hanging on by a thread. If I don't make it to the NBA, honestly, I don't know what happens to us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where the Thomas family goes.
Yeah.
Because we were that close, and, you know, drugs and gang banging, you know, I grew up with murderers, like literally,
Chicago, right?
you know, so, and every day you had to make a decision if you was gonna go right or left, and you had to make the right decision, because if you chose wrong,
Your life
might not make it home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean and that's one of my favorite quotes when I was listening to another podcast you on. You're on so many of them. Everybody loves talking to you, man. So much knowledge, but you know what stood out? You said I spent my money trying to uplift my family out of poverty, and so you take your nieces and nephews and you, after they're done college, and you give them 6-month internships to work at one of your companies, right? And it has to be free.
Got to work for free, man.
It has to be for free. And if they like it afterwards, then you guys will talk job and opportunity. But I like that, you know, as far as giving them that, getting your money back, obviously. But, you know, when you see that formula, are you surprised a lot of other guys don't do it?
Well, most people don't look at their family the way I looked at mine, right? Most people look at what they're going to do for themselves. And like, you know, Kendrick Lamar has a song, How Much a Dollar Costs, right? And for me, I wanted to invest not in myself, but invest in my family.
Yeah.
And when I look at my family now, and when you say, yeah, they come to a place to learn how to work, and for 6 months, they have to work free to pay off that debt. But at the same time, they really learning skills of how to operate in a corporate environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you like it, okay, we can find a place for you to continue working. But if you don't like it, now at least you have the tools to go out in the world to compete and fend for yourself.
Yeah. I asked you at the BLK Summit to, you know, describe your career in one word. You said champion. And there's nobody that can deny that, right? Definitely a champion. But I also went back and I looked and I said, you know, look at a time after you were done that championship journey, right? You go back to 1994. I mean, you paid $12.5 million to become a 10% owner of the Toronto Raptors, right? That was an expansion team at that particular time, right? It included a 5-year deal, which had you include, you know, run operations. But you were the only black NBA owner at that point, and the 5th one to run basketball operations, right? What do you remember about that tenure, and is there anything you would do different? Because people may not remember that you were one of probably the first. Were you the first African?
I was the first.
The first
yes.
NBA owner who was black, right?
Of an international franchise outside of the United States, right? And so when you talk about the NBA being a global brand now, right? Still the only franchise that sits outside of the United States is the one that they trusted me to go and start and run. And what I'm most proud of is it's still standing today. There was one that started in Toronto.
In Vancouver.
And one in Vancouver. Vancouver is now in Memphis. And Toronto is still standing and have won the championship. Everything from the colors. Purple is my favorite color. And you know, you gotta have the black and gold from the west side of Chicago. So the colors are still there. From the mascot to the cheerleaders, well, I would say the dance pack, right? We were the first to integrate our dance pack because most of the dance teams used to be all female. We were the first ones that said, no, it's some brothers that can dance too that like to dance, right? So we integrated the dance pack, and now when you look across the NBA, you see integrated teams.
All over, yeah.
And we made a conscious effort to make sure that our crowd was diverse. And Toronto still today, when you look in those stands, it is still the most diverse crowd to come to an NBA game than any other place in the NBA. And that's what we started.
Yeah. Is there anything that you probably did not know that you picked up during that tenure that you still use today in business as far as, because you're running an operation at that point too, right?
I had to make a tough decision. I decided that I would leave Toronto and come back to the United States. And that decision was based on, okay, if I would have stayed there longer than 5 years, then I would have became a citizen, and a lot of my resources and money would have had to stay there. And then the team was changing. I tried to buy the team, and had I been able and successful enough to buy the team, I would have stayed there. But the thing that I learned was it's not good being a minority owner when you can't call the shots. You know, when you have to put up the money and you can't run your own show, that's not a good feeling. And I I didn't like that feeling. So the thing that I learned was that I always want to own and control.
Right.
And if I'm a part of, then I got to be a part of with somebody that I trust and that I know he or she knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the ownership landscape today, right, what do you see? I mean, there's players all over. Dwayne Wade is a minority owner out in Utah. Junior Brisbane, right? The great Junior Brisbane supported a minority stake in the Milwaukee Bucks. Are you happy with the current landscape, even though Michael Jordan, he's not a majority owner anymore, so they lost their only black majority owner, and they'll be losing their only black CEO in Sim Marshall. She's leaving as well. So issues still that the NBA needs to fix from a diversity standpoint and, you know, front offices as well as ownership. But when you see what you see today, you like where it's headed?
I like where it's headed because you still have a voice at the table.
Yeah.
So Junior Brisbane coming in, D. Wade being there, several others wanted to get involved. I like seeing that. The thing that I hope is not happening is that they're putting their money up, but they can never get their money out. Because the ownership structure, if it's built in such a way that team gets passed down generationally in the family. And if you're not part of the family, then you're just helping to pay the bills. You know, so I'm hoping that, you know, they have clauses in those agreements where they call it a put option, where they can put it back to the entity and get fair market value anytime they want to exit or leave.
Right.
But if their money is just tied up and they can't get it out, and there's no put option, you know, then that money is just helping the majority owner pay the bills.
Yeah. And I hope you tell these guys this thing, you know.
Well, some, and then they have advisors. You know, so.
Advisors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, moving ahead, man, as we wrap up, what do you seek in an entrepreneur in 2024? Like, what does Isiah Thomas look for? I mean, listen, you've been through it all, right? Again, 2-time NBA champion, 12-time star, all-star, CEO of Isiah International. When you're looking at entrepreneurs and they're pitching you business plans, because I know you get them all the time, what do you want to see from them and from their business plan?
You look at the human being and you ask this question: can he or she persevere through the bad times? Because it ain't gonna always be good. Whatever projections you have on the paper, that look good, but it ain't gonna happen that way. That 4 or 5 year plan, it ain't gonna happen that way. Now, when the times get hard, and they really, really get hard, do you as a person have enough in you to get through those hard times? Because the one thing that's guaranteed being an entrepreneur, and my background is startups and turnarounds. So in startup businesses, the one thing that's guaranteed is there are going to be some extremely hard, difficult times. And do you have the perseverance to come through those times? You're going to cry at night. A lot of people are going to say no to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to knock on 1,000 doors and you're going to get 1,000 no's.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to tell you that you can't sell this champagne.
Yeah.
You can't be in this business. But do you have the perseverance to stick it through? And it may not come down to just capital, right? Because most people will say, well, if somebody gave me the money, then I can do A, B, and C. But most of the time, ain't nobody gonna give you the money when you're that low.
Yeah.
They only want to pick the winner. When you're riding high, that's when they want to give you a whole lot of money, right? But when you down here struggling, trying to make it, ain't nobody trying to help you. Do you have the perseverance to really rise up to where somebody can help you? Because when you're this low, ain't nobody gonna help you.
Yeah.
And when ain't nobody gonna help you, can you help yourself?
Is that what it takes to be a champion too? Perseverance?
100%. And intelligence. Like the game in the NBA, right? It's not about skill and it's not about talent. It's a thinking man's game. And all different sizes and shapes are winners, right? This was a game that a 5'3" Muggsy Bogues could succeed and be an NBA player. Why? Because he could understand it, he could think it. This is a game where Mark Jackson, who couldn't jump really high, wasn't really fast, but he can read it and he can understand it. So he can make the game do what he needed to do. And the guys who can jump high, run fast, and are real tall, they have genetic gifts that most of us don't have. But the champion can take those genetic gifts and combine it with an intellect and dominate.
Got some students here, man, from Chestnut Hill College in Pennsylvania, right? Where I grew up at, although I went to Temple, right? And they're here before my alma mater here. And I wanted them to ask some questions, and they submitted two. What leadership qualities do you believe are essential for success, both on and off the court? And this is from Avery White, 2026 Business and Administrations Management with a minor in accounting. Avery, thank you for the question. What leadership qualities do you seek on and off the floor?
It all depends on what type of leader you want to be. Like, I am more of a compassionate leader. There are some leaders who are dictators, in my way or the highway. So my understanding of leadership, I inspire, and I want to inspire and get the best out of that person. So I would say compassion and understanding, and can I meet you in a place where you're at, and then inspire you from there.
Yeah. Another one coming. How do you prioritize and make decisions when faced with multiple opportunities or challenging? This is coming from Seiko. Seiko, obviously a good friend of ours, God bless his life, he died, so his name stood out. Business and another business administration and management major. So how do you prioritize and make decisions when you're faced with challenges and opportunities?
You look inside, right? What are your ethics? What are your morals? What are your values? What's driving you? And once you understand that, then the decision becomes easy, right? And I've been put in a lot of situations where you can compromise yourself, your dignity for money. Now, if money is your driver and money is your measurement for success, then you're going for the money, but you may not sleep well at night. Those who compromise themselves, lose their dignity, they have to do some things that, you're not willing to do. So it really depends on who you are, what you are about, what you stand for, what your values are, what your morals are, and then you make a decision from that place.
Yeah. President-elect Trump calls you up. He says, Isiah, what advice do you have for me on how to level the business landscape, right? Keeping in mind the black families in rural areas, because we obviously know rural communities spoke this past election. There's black families out there too. Keeping that in mind, what do you tell President-elect Donald Trump about how to level the playing field for business?
First of all, I would thank him for inviting me to the table.
Yeah.
And you got to go to the table to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And if he can keep it at the kitchen table, how do we eat? Where can we work? And how much we get paid? Those three things, right? Food, clothing, shelter. Show me how we do that. And then from there, on the business side, right? Can you give us some pathways in the system that has systemically discriminated against skin color for so many years? Can your administration create pathways that we don't necessarily have to face this discrimination only because we have more melanin in our skin than you do? We are governed in a country right now, sadly, where, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, your skin color, the melanin in your skin, decides the disadvantages or advantages you get. This is the craziest thing that we living in. And we talk about apartheid, but there are some systematic things in our country that's apartheid. And they like to quote Martin Luther King and say, you know, I don't want to be judged by the color of my skin, but the content of my character. But yet then we have to check the box, black, brown, blue, purple, or orange.
Yeah.
What we doing?
Yeah, judging us. Yeah. Hey, man, get you out of here on this. And I'll switch it up, right? Because I always do the good, the great question because of Jim Collins' book, Good, the Great. What is the difference between a good point guard and a great one? Or what will be the difference between good point guards and great point guards as we approach the midway point of the decade all the way till 2030? Because the game's changing, and I'm sure by 2030, Isiah, LeBron's probably not going to be here, Steph's not going to be here, but the point guard position will remain. And you played that position, I think, and I admire your opinion on this stuff. What's going to be the difference between good and great point guards as we move forward?
The difference is always, in my opinion, who's smarter, right? The great point guards, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They score the basketball when they need to score it. They pass it when they need to pass it. But they understand your scheme better than you do. So every time you make a mistake, I know how to take advantage of your mistake.
Yeah.
So it's not from, in basketball, people always talk about the sport from the neck down, but the game is really played from the neck up.
That's right.
The great players and the champions, they play it from up here, and the good players, they play it from the neck down.
Yeah, that's a quick story. I mean, I knew it was head. Not only talking to you, when I was covering the San Antonio Spurs, and LeBron was with the Cleveland Cavaliers at that point, and I was asking assistant coach from the Spurs, to say, hey, y'all going to run this high-low play tonight? He said, no, we can't do that. I was like, why? He says, because LeBron will read that and he'll just interrupt it. I'm like, wait, he's that? That's all he just, and I'm like, man. And so you got to be smart in order to excel and to be champions. That's why you are, he is, and all the other champions are.
That's the thing that always fascinated me about LeBron. And that's why I called him like the Einstein of basketball. Because we all had great teachers. Like I had my high school coaches in the Hall of Fame, my college coach, Coach Knight is in the Hall of Fame, Chuck Daly's in the Hall of Fame. You look at Michael Jordan, you know, Dean Smith in the Hall of Fame, Phil Jackson in the Hall of Fame. I mean, we had great teachers and educators, right? Who's his teacher?
That's right.
Who taught him all this?
He did.
He came from high school. You just don't come from high school in the All-League and go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you just don't do that. And he went to the NBA Finals with, you know, his cast wasn't that great. You know, you was covering that San Antonio team. Like, you know, I don't think LeBron James, he's been to what, 10 finals? He's been to 10 finals, and I can think of only 4 where he's been the favorite.
Yeah.
That's how good he's been.
Yeah. Can't give it. I mean, listen, man. The brother is who he is, man. You gotta give it up to LeBron James, probably the greatest player up until this point that's played it. And maybe we'll see another one. Maybe Ant Edwards could be from behind. You gotta get his mental right. maybe he'll be right there.
Somebody's coming. You can rest assured. There's always somebody coming.
Yeah, yeah. But for now, let it be known.
Yes,
Isiah
sir.
Thomas was here. Appreciate all the time.
Unknown to a known.
Unknown to a known. Zeke, appreciate the time, man. Good luck the rest of the NBA season.
Thank you.
I know you got your work at NBA TV, and I cannot wait to see the bumpers on the cars.
Well, it won't be the bumpers. You probably have to
underneath.
You have to look underneath the
maybe
car.
I'll see another cup holder, the plastic.
But for right now, it's just the packaging. We're going to deliver the bumper in.
There you go.
Okay, you can take this bumper out.
Absolutely.
But that package is mine.
Absolutely. It's sustainability anyways. It's still good, man.
It works.
Absolutely. Jabari Young here at the Nasdaq MasketSite. Let it be known, Isiah Thomas was with me. See you next time.